All right, so what you're looking at here is an example of a beam engine that a gentleman whose last name is Rupnow created in Canada. And he took a design of an Elmer beam engine and kind of scaled it down a little, or excuse me, scaled it up a little bit. And he actually created one of these. And here in a little bit, we'll switch to a video so you can kind of see this in operation and see how it works. But I wanted to walk you through this full assembly first so you can get an idea of what a set of working drawings might look like. So when you first look at the first page here, you've got your balloon callouts there in the upper left to point to each of the different pieces and parts. You've got in the upper right your bill of materials. You can see there's 20 different parts, and we've got only one part is used twice, and that's a hex nut. So the most important special pieces are listed first, so you can see we list any of the hex nuts and fasteners and that sort of thing down in the lower, or excuse me, the higher part numbers. So you can see that information. And then down in our title block, you've got the gentleman who created this piece, his name and contact information. You can see that there's a scale and sheet information and then a title of the drawing. So that's typical for your first page. Now if you look down through the different parts, you'll see that there are some sub-assemblies that are part of this. You've got the crankshaft, so item number 7 that's listed here on the drawing, and you can see that's right here in this area right there, that is actually a sub-assembly for the crankshaft. Part number 8 is a sub-assembly of the connecting rod, so there that is right there, this piece right there. Same thing with your beam link and your piston and soldered piston rod with end. So you can see that there are some sub-assemblies that come into these. Also part 19, that is also an assembly as well. So just additional assemblies that kind of put things together to create the overall piece. So when we take this and scroll through and look at the next pieces, this is part number 1, that's what comes next. And here you can see a detailed drawing of the column. So that includes all the information you would need to create that column. You can see it's got a top and a front view there. And you've got some tolerance marks down here in your title block. These are, again, pretty standard type things. So I'll go then to our next sheet. So here's part number 2, the beam. And you get the idea as you take and you scroll through this piece. So I'm going to scroll until we get to one of those sub-assemblies. So here we've got a sub-assembly of the crankshaft. So you can see there's 2 parts right there. But when you combine those together, it's called the crankshaft, and it has a particular part number, and it happens to be part number 7. So those 2 things, when you assemble them together, that's part number 7. So this is a sub-assembly of the crankshaft. Very similar, we've got the sub-assembly of the connecting rod. So in this one, because it's multiple, more than just 2 pieces going together, it has its own item numbers up there. You've got the connecting rod clevis, the end, and the actual rod. So you take those 3 parts and put them together, and that's what you have. So again, here's another sub-assembly and how that comes together. So you have access to this entire set of plans. You can see there's quite a few sheets that get put together to create this. There's multiple sub-assemblies. So when you start the quiz, I highly recommend that you click in there, read the instructions, and in there you'll find a link that will let you have access to this same PDF that we're looking at right now, because you're going to need that and be able to go back and forth through that drawing to find the dimensions that are necessary. I will print at least 2 sets of these and leave them in the classroom for you on both campuses so that you can have access to them. If you would prefer to look through a paper copy, just please don't mark on those printed copies of these files because another student is going to use them later. But you will need to have access to this to complete the quiz.